So for the agenda, so first of all, welcome everybody to another webinar from VAC4EU. Today we are presenting the catalog tool that is in development, but at the stage that actually we can release it and we can implement it. So we have on our agenda, we have the quality checks and the status of the VAC4EU Molgenis catalog from Rosa, and then we have how to update and maintain the catalog from Julia. Rosa and Julia are from the RS team. And we have somebody from Molgenis, Brenda, here with us from the University Medical Center in Groningen, from the Molgenis team. And she will present on infrastructure for interoperable research cohort and real-world data catalog. So more about the background on how catalog is working and functioning. And then, of course, after these three presentations, we will talk about next steps and questions and answers and discussions and everything on where we want to go with the catalog. Good. Now, the catalog, this work started, is originating from the Minerva project together with Molgenis. But this is something Rosa then also will present, so I will not talk too much about this, but we started already about 2 years from now with developing a catalog for VAC4EU. And really now we are at the implementation and testing phase, and I hope that very soon we will be able to work only on the catalog and have this as the main reference tool and as a metadata tool. So that means that we will not use any more these Word documents shared on SharePoint for the ETL specifications. So whenever you start into a new study, updating ETL, checking ETL, discussing on ETL with PIs and statisticians and programmers will now be done on the catalog. Because catalog also has different functions. You can download, you can maintain. I'm actually very proud of this catalog, so it's a very nice tool, but a tool is only as good as people use it and people comply to it. So we really need your collaboration here from each of the DAPs, from each of the PIs, from each of the programmers, that we can make this a flourishing VAC4EU tool. With having said this, I think I would like to hand over to Rosa for the first presentation, and Rosa will share her screen.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, the story of the catalog is long. It's actually started, the first draft is really in the conception project, which has given so much in terms of tools to VAC4EU. But really, so the conceptual framework that is beyond the catalog is the same as the conceptual framework that is beyond the conception common data model. This is the paper that describes that conceptual framework, and I always invite everybody who is interested in our pipeline to read it carefully because it was an important piece of work. And what is important for us when speaking about secondary use of existing data, what is important is that we want to understand, I mean, that our idea is that in order to really use correctly existing data, you need to know why is it that they exist. So we need really to represent and understand and compare how data was generated, where they come from. And our conceptual framework stemmed from that. And we have, so we try to represent it through the institutions that have the initiative, the authority, and the money to create data collections about people. And we call such data collection data banks. They are, they can be hospitalizations, they can be dispensing of medicines, and there is always an institution behind that can collect that information about a specific population. And what we use are data sources, which are collection of such data banks. And we want to learn and represent this pathway. And the people who help us understand are our fellow data access partners that in our network describe this pathway. And the catalog is where this is represented. This is a figure from the Minerva project, and this is the description of the conceptual framework that you also find in the paper. And now, what are we doing? So we started in during summer this round of quality checks, because again, the catalog has been there for a while, but we want now to, let's say, switch to production. It was not a priority activity. It is a long-term investment of VAC4EU. This is the moment where we believe we put it into really into actions. So what have we done? What are we doing? Because the work is ongoing. So we have created a tool where we look at the catalog, we look at all the information that is there, and we discuss with each DAP whether the information is okay or whether we have some comments, and they respond and they improve the qualitative information that is in the catalog. And we will see an example in a minute. And then let's say the most, how could I say, hard-coded work that we do is that we are uploading to the catalog all the data models of all the tables and all the ETLs. So you are more familiar probably with this format of the ETL. If you have attended the CDM ETL course, this is how the ETL specification document is first created in a Word document. But from now on, this document gets loaded, and Julia will show you how we do that. This document is then loaded into the catalog. So these two objects are exactly the same things, except that this is a Word document and this is a table in the catalog. Okay, what is the status? 4 data sources have completed the upload of the tables and ETLs. Some of them are still reviewing the text, the qualitative description. 3 data sources have already finalized the data models, but the ETL is still to be completed. 3 other data sources have still work ongoing, but we've started for some weeks now. And 3 data sources are still to be started or have been delayed due to other commitments. We have 1 data source, the CPRD Gold, where we currently have no data access partner. So this is something that we need to decide what to do, because of course our entry point for the catalog is always a data access partner. So I don't know, that we will make a decision about that. And the use case that the most important use case that we are able to support from now on is what Daniel was saying. From now on, the catalog replaces the ETL specification document in all the data sources where the quality checks have been completed. The reason is that the table and ETL specifications can be updated anytime, and Julia will show you how this can be done, and downloaded from the catalog anytime. So whenever there is a need to an update, the DAP can do it, and any user can download it, and otherwise you can download the current version and be confident that it is updated. Whenever there is an instance, a data source instance, there is the instance table included in the common data model, and the 2 pieces together, and I will show you in a minute how, provide a full description of the data source instance. So, well, I will show you the demo. I had an introduction to this, but okay, so this is the catalog. Let me check if I'm still logged in. This is the entry point of our catalog. Remember that in order to, if you don't have access, you write to me and I will put you in contact, or to Henriette, and we will put you in contact with Morgenis. Data access partner have an account with writing rights. Everybody else has only read rights, because they only are expected to read and not to write. And the most important section of the catalog are the data sources and the data banks, and our entry point is always a data source. And what I can show you today, I was planning to show you PediaNet, which is one of the data sources that has completed their work. So if you enter in the data source, you can see the description, the population, what is the general trigger of the information, and then you have the 5 data banks, and each data bank has many tables. So if you enter in this data bank, which is very complex, you can see the description, and you can see all the tables, and you can see the data model of each table. But what is new now, including their ETL? But what is new now is that when you enter a data source, okay, I have clicked this button here, and I was offered to download a report that I can now download. Well, I had downloaded already, but so we are in the data source, in this case, PediaNet, which is one of the data sources that has completed the quality check. I can click here, and I am offered to download a report. Okay, I can access it, and I can open it, and it's a spreadsheet with 4 tabs. The first tab is just the list of the data banks and their respective table. So we have our 5 data banks. Each of them has 1 or more tables. Here we have the data model. So for each table, we have, again, for each data bank, we have each table. Let me just sort this. We order per resource and data set, and we have the data model of each data set. Okay, and of course with the label, description, whatever, every detail that the DAP thinks is important for you to know. And then we have the dataset mapping. So each dataset, how is it, to which tables of which common data model it is ETL'd to. And again, we have the source data set, the target, and the target data set. This is just the headers of the specification table, so that you know that this table is ETL'd to those 2 tables of the conception common data model. And here you have the action, how it is mapped. And here you have the core of the ETL specification table. Again, we order for source data set, target data set, and we get the core of the specification table. Okay, so this can be downloaded any moment, and you see how each origin table is mapped to each target table. And when you have now, if you have an instance of a data source, now I am showing you the document for ours, because I only have the instance for that data source. So you have the description of each table, but you know that in your specific instance, you will have only, I don't know, maybe you, in that specific instance, some tables are missing, right? They're not included in the instance. So if you compare, if you read together the instance table of your data source instance and the ETL specification document that you can download from the catalog, you can have a full picture of the data that you want to conduct your study in. Okay, if everything is clear, I will then give the word to Julia, who shows you how this information is first loaded to the catalog and how it is maintained.
Okay, so hello everybody, and thank you, Rosa, for introducing me and for introducing the points I will discuss today. I have just prepared few introductory slides because I would like to show you how to update and maintain the catalog by browsing directly the catalog with you now. So just to introduce, basically there are two ways to update and maintain VAC4EU catalog. The first one is working directly on the catalog using the pencil symbol that is available, as you can see in this slide circled in red. This function is available for all the section of the catalog, but the two we are mainly working on during these months are the data source and the data bank section that I will show you later. And the second way to update and maintain the catalog is using some Excel sheets that I will show you later, but just to anticipate something. They are 4 Excel sheets, the linked resources, the data banks, the data sets, and the variables sheets. And here I reported just a few examples, but I will show you also these sheets later more in detail. But before going through the catalog, let me anticipate you when to use one method and when to use the other one. The first method is recommended if you have to apply minor changes to your data source. For example, add I don't know, a link between a data set and a data bank, or for example add 1, 2 or maximum 3 variables to the data model of a table or of a data bank. Otherwise, if you have to apply major changes to your data source and, for example, radically change the structure of your data source, the best option is to use the Excel sheet that I will show you later. So let's go to the catalog to understand the reason and behind this difference. This is the home page of the catalog. If I go into the data sources, I click for my convenience ours, and here on the right you can see the pencil symbol I showed you before. This is the page regarding our data source, where you can see the overview, the population, the contents, the linkage between the data source and all the data banks belonging to our data source. And each of these sections can be edited by clicking on this pencil. You can see on the right all the sections that are in the page I showed you before, and here you can modify, edit, review whatever you want. For example, here you have the ID. That's the only thing you cannot modify, but the other fields are fields that you can fill it in with free text. For example, here I can now add the local name for ours. Okay, and if I scroll down, there are some drop-down menu where I can select one of the options available. Here there is the description that you can fill it in with free text, and also you can modify whatever you want about the population. the contents, also the linkage, where you can add the link between the data source and a data bank, and so on. When you are happy about the modifications you have applied, you can click on Save Data Sources, or if you intend to edit again and come back and modify anything else, you can click on Save Draft. In both ways, all the modifications, all the changes you applied are immediately shown in the data source. In this case, for example, I added the local name of the ARS data source. If I click on Save Data Source, if I refresh, maybe, I will see the local name of ARS. And this function is available also for databank section. If I enter here, for example, for ABS, that is the registry of spontaneous abortion from ARS, there is here the pencil, and again I can modify whatever I want, and click on Save Databanks or Save Draft if I intend to edit again. Another thing that you can do now is the modification of the datasets. If I go into ABS, for example, here I can add a new variable by clicking on the plus symbol. Here I have to select the data bank, in this case is ABS, the dataset that in this case is only one, so select. And here I can, for example, add a new variable, its label, if I want the format, that is a drop-down menu containing, character, text, date, some notes, if I think they are useful to describe this variable, and add and click on Save Variable. The new variable will immediately appear in the data model. If I want to delete it, I click on the basket and then to delete. The only thing I cannot do in this page is the modification of the name of the variable. If I click on the pencil here, I see that resource, dataset, and name cannot be modified because they are the binding keys between the data that are under the catalog. So these three fields cannot be modified. But you can, for example, if you are not happy about the name of this variable, you can click on this symbol, that is a copy button. Here, select the resource, for example, in this case is ABS, the dataset is again ABS, and enter the new name, Save Variables. And here you can see the new variable with the same information reported for the previous one, and you can delete the wrong variable, for example. Yeah. And that's the way how to update and maintain the catalog working directly on the catalog using the pencil symbol. But the data that now you see on the catalog have been uploaded using the second methods I mentioned you, that is by using the Excel sheets. I mentioned you for Excel sheets that I'm going to show you more in detail. The first one is the linked resources that regard the link between the data source and all the data banks belonging to that data source. So these sheets should be filled in column A with the ID of the data source and in column B with the ID of the data bank. And keep in mind these IDs because they are really important and they are the key that link all the sheets that I'm going to show you. The second sheet is the data bank one, where in column A you have again the ID of the data banks and also the acronym, the name, if you want to add the local name of your data bank, and also a description that we recommend to enter. The third sheet is the dataset sheets that concern the link between a data bank and its tables. For example, in this case, ADRSA is the data bank containing the home and residential healthcare services that is composed by 3 tables. So this sheet should be filled in with 1 row per each table. This is the same for example, for CAP, that is the birth registry for Mars. This is composed by 2 tables, so CAP1 and CAP2. And the last sheet is the variables one, where in column A, you have the ID of the data bank. In column B, you have the ID of the table belonging to that data bank. In this case, it's the same because ABS is composed by just 1 table. But if I scroll down to CAP, yeah, I have in column A the ID of the data bank, in column B the ID of the tables, CAP1 and CAP2. In column C, I have the list of all the variables belonging to that table. We recommend also to enter a label for each variable, a description, and some notes if you think they are useful to describe more in detail that variable.
Julia, can I
yeah.
comment? So the previous tables that you just showed and this table are just the first 2 tables that I showed. So
yeah.
when you then download from the data source the summary sheet that I showed, this is exactly the information that is given back to the user.
If I can show you this immediately.
Well, please go ahead, Julia, because I think for the sake
okay.
of time,
perfect.
It was just to connect.
Okay. That's all for this second method that, however, has a little disadvantage because after filling in this table, these sheets, you can upload them to the catalog. So you need the mediation of Molgenis team. So the process is as follows: you fill in these sheets, then you send them to Molgenis team, and then in this case it's Brenda who is in charge of this activity, will upload your data on the catalog. So there is a little latency between the moment you send the sheets to Brenda and the moment you will see your data on the catalog. That's the reason we strongly recommend at this point to update and maintain the catalog, working directly on the catalog using the pencil symbol, since most of your data are already on the catalog. We think that the changes you have to apply are minor, so you can easily work directly on the catalog. So that's all from my side, and I know that there is a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so I will leave the floor to Brenda.
Thank you very much, Julia, and thank you everyone.
I would like to make a comment, Julia, though. I think that the sheets that you showed, there is another sheet, right? Other two sheets, I think, to upload the ETL.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what we recommend currently is actually that you don't reach out to Molgenis, but you just reach out to us, the catalog task force. So it's myself, Julia, and Daniel. And during the quality check, this is exactly what we are doing. So we are trying to support you to upload your complete data model and your complete ETL in the first phase so that we can enable you to proceed independently using the pencil functionality.
Very good. Thank you so much, Julia, Rosa, and all the data access partners that have already done this. Now let's go to Brenda to save the time. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. And also thank you, Julia, for a great explanation on how the catalog works, on how submitting and altering your data works. I would like to add that if you're using templates, you do not delete rows from the catalog. So you can only add rows to the catalog. And also, if you leave columns blank and they were filled out before, they will be deleted. So you have to be really careful with that when updating via Excel sheets. But it was a very good explanation. Thank you for that, Julia. So I will go to my part of the demo. And I have a more general demo about the Molgenis catalog, well, in general. So we've been working together closely with Rosa over the years and other people from other projects from the EMA, for instance, and we're working towards an interoperable cohort and real-world data catalog for health data. And well, I'm Brenda Heijmans. I work at the University Medical Center in Groningen, and I mainly work on the data model of the catalog. And I work at the research department, the Genomics Coordination Center, which is a part of the UCG. And we have more than 40 researchers working here, and software developers, data managers, project leaders. So we are a bit of a not conventional research group, because we also we develop software. We develop it for clinical usages, but also for diagnostics and research. And the software that we develop, we call the Molgenis data platform. So that's the Molgenis part that comes in there. And the Molgenis catalog is built on this data platform. So a brief outline of what I will talk about today. First, a short introduction on the purpose that we have with this catalog. Then something about how we build catalogs with multiple partners. Then how we work towards interoperable catalogs. And a demo comparing two of these partners that we develop catalogs with. So the purpose of the Molgenis catalog, in our view, is to publish and share resource metadata of different kinds of health data resources, such as registries, cohorts, biobanks. And with these metadata, we want to facilitate cooperation within research projects, networks, studies, but also between different networks. And we want to make the data that they gather insightful. And also, if they want to use that data to work together to analyze their data, as you've seen, for instance, in VAC4EU, how people want to ETL their data to a common data model, we want to make that insightful. And as I said, we are working together with multiple partners and multiple users to develop this Molgenis catalog. So this means that people will give input about their what their wishes are, and other people will give similar input, and also concessions need to be made. So we have multiple conversations with all these partners and users on their wishes. And the main parts of these wishes go into the data model. So what kind of data do you want to show in your catalog? And also, how do you want to show this data? How do you want to visualize it? So this is more about on the side of the user interface. And working together with all these partners, we are developing one data model for different health data resources to capture their metadata. So, excuse me. Here you see the data model that a depiction of the data model that we have devised, also with largely input from Rosa in this part. In this, I will briefly walk you through this picture. At the upper level, you see the first level of metadata that we're gathering. So it's resource descriptive metadata. All these different kinds of resources, they want to display their descriptives to the world. And all these different resources, they also have interactions with each other. So for instance, the data sources that were already shown by Rosa and Julia in their talks, they consist of multiple databanks. And these databanks are used together for studies. The data in these databanks are used for studies, for instance. Also, almost all of these resources are governed by organizations. Then there's the second level of metadata, or what we would like to call the second level of metadata. It's the actual data dictionaries of the resources. So which variables were collected, which gives insight into the data that was collected. And then some projects also go another step further, and they will devise a common data model and show how they would map their data towards this common data model, as you've also seen in the mapping sheets that Julia showed. We work together with multiple partners, and we have one data model for all these partners. But then these different projects, they have different focuses, which results in nuances between the projects, but they keep an equal basis so that they are very tightly interoperable with each other. So, for instance, EMA has this database called NSEP, and we are currently extracting their data into a catalog, and they mainly catalog medicine studies, but also the data sources that were used to in these studies. And then for VAC4EU, there's data sources and databanks being cataloged, and there's a common data model, and the ETL is available. Conception has a similar setup as VAC4EU, but we also have cohort catalogs within the same data model. So, but then on a different nuance in a different table, but with the equal basis of the table. So we have a cohorts catalog within the UMCG, cataloging all the different research cohorts. And they have a really large data sets on the descriptives of these cohorts. We're working together with the EU Child Network, which is also a cohort catalog, and they are actually also analyzing data together using a common data model. And then for interoperability with other catalogs, we are using standards like DCAT, so that data from different catalogs can be matched to ours if we want that. And just to show you, briefly show you how much data is in these different catalogs taken together. These are rough counts, I must say. We can see that well, we have a large studies section, which is mainly EMA, data banks and data sources, which is also EMA, and conception and VAC4EU. And then the cohorts in biobanks, it's BBMRI, and this EU Child Network, and the UMCG. And for the data dictionaries, we're also getting towards impressive data sets for collected variables from all the resources and mappings towards common data models. Then I want to show you, well, very briefly show you the differences, the nuances that we have between different projects. So, and for that, I would want to compare VAC4EU and UMCG catalog. What they have in common is that they have very detailed descriptives of their resources. So UMCG has cohort descriptives, which are expansive, and VAC4EU has really detailed descriptions about data sources and data banks. And next to that, VAC4EU also has the data dictionaries available. UMCG doesn't have that yet. Regarding the data that is available for these cohorts, or what they want to display, which data they have available for VAC4EU, so there's actually a common data model available, and for the UMCG, they display in their descriptives what kinds of data they have available, but they don't have detailed descriptions on the actual data dictionaries. So I will first go through the UMCG catalog. Okay. So the UMCG catalog is already in a new design that we are currently working on integrating into all the catalogs. So this was their landing page, and you can now browse cohorts, but they will also have studies available in the future. You can search on and select. Let's search for organ transplants. And come to a hit, which is called transplant lines. You see an overview of all the metadata that was captured by this cohort within the UMCG. So some general descriptives, some descriptives on the population that was captured, contacts, details, and then here you see what kind of data is available. So there's sample categories. They have gathered genetic materials and tissues in different formats. And they have some descriptions on what areas of information they have gathered. And then to contrast this with the VAC4EU catalogue, I have to sign in again. We will use the data sources as an entry. I will take CDUP as an example here. So CDUP, this data source has it doesn't have that many descriptors yet, sorry. But it has fills out the data banks and also has added the data sets to the data banks.
Very nice, Brenda. Thank you very much. I think we need to close a bit because we are running a bit out of time. But
yeah,
do you have still something you would like to close with?
Yeah, let me see. I have.
Sorry to cut you a bit here.
No, that's okay. I was also at the end of this part
good.
of the demo, so it's okay.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to tell you that VAC4EU goes into more detail on the data
Very good,
than UCG does, but they both have descriptives. And I wanted to tell you that we're adhering to the FAIR principles, so we are findable via search engines, and we want to be findable via Beacon as well. Then accessible, we want to have open access to the metadata and describe how to get access to the actual data. Then for interoperability and reusability, we use existing ontologies and we reuse common data elements across projects and networks. Then we have an API and we have exports in RDF formats and in DCAT formats, and we maintain one data model for all catalogs. And if it's possible, we want to keep everything. It's not there yet, but we want to keep the projects on one server, or at least pull them into one server, so that so that users can browse all the data together. Researchers that are interested in getting data from different sources.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brenda. Very good. Thank you also for this very nice collaboration between Molgenis and VAC4EU and the team. So very happy about this with all around the team of Morris, of course. And Rosa, maybe we take advantage of the last minutes for the outlook. Maybe we can keep this very short and then
have the discussion, which is the important thing. So basically, as you can see, our so VAC4EU profits from a very high level collaborator with Molgenis. Our next steps, so it's not only that they are not service providers, they are scientific collaborators. So the catalog is not only a service, it's really something scientifically important. So now we want to complete the quality check. We are developing an Elevate Health course. So everything that we have explained today will be further explained into that course. We have already published the paper that Brenda showed you before, and we are in the process of revising 2 more papers for PDS, the commentary based on the Minerva project and the main paper of Minerva. So what are the points for discussion. As you have seen from Brenda, our catalog that we can see and we can access is in fact one phase of a very complete and complex world of metadata. It would be great if we could make our catalog available externally. And I would like to discuss with you which are the conditions that would enable you to, especially the data access partners, to share the catalog with the external world. As you can see, there is natively an interoperability with other catalogs, including the EMA catalog that is going to be presented at the NCEP plenary on the 1st of December. And it would be great if we could propose to EMA, thanks to the support of Mogenis, that whenever we update our catalog, we can click and automatically update the catalog of EMA. This would really make true the vision of Minerva and the vision that was embedded in the paper that we showed you, where we really think that in order to be usable and to be fair, really catalogs would need to speak with each other. So that would be amazing. And the other thing that occurs to me, I don't know how familiar you are with the European Health Data Space framework of the European Union. I think that our catalog, the Mogenis catalog, if you wish, and in that space, our own catalog is really a great contribution that we can propose as VAC4EU to the European Health Data Space. And I would like to hear your input on those topics for discussion.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank Brenda and everybody, Julia, for the presentation. Who has questions or wants to answer to the question of Rosa, please?
I think it would be very nice if we could make the catalog available externally, but I'm of course not one of the data holders, but
Yes.
It's all metadata, so.
Yes. No, really, I think we just need to have a final, fully implemented quality check product that we can use and everything safe and everybody convinced. I think we go through this phase now for a few months or for the next bit. And then we can start these discussions with each of our partners. Of course, the more open, the more accessible this kind of data, the more value. But it needs to be balanced, of course, with what people can show and want to show. But I agree with you, yes.
I would like to ask to the audience if there is any barriers that they see to make the catalog externally available.
I think this might also have some internal discussions yet still, and people need to get trust and see the catalog working. Maybe it's a bit early for this. I have a question from Carlos here on the chat, I see, but Carlos, please speak up if you can, or I will read your question. Carlos,
no, there is. The question is if there is a way to comment or ask questions to the data custodians within the catalog framework, and the answer is no, because in itself it's not a social media, right, Brenda? There is no social media functionality so far. Of course, within VAC4EU, you have any. So we have both. Of course, the direct contact with the data access partners that are members of VAC4EU, but we have also VAC4EU repository in GitHub, which is where that we currently use mainly to discuss with Brenda and other Mogenis developers if there are bugs or functionality problems. But the same space could be used also for for this purpose that you are mentioning.
Yes, and of course the catalog will be a tool for studies as well. And whenever a PI or has questions what he sees on the catalog, then I think the team is in shape to discuss together. And also, of course, VAC4EU Secretariat is very happy to take questions on data catalog or data metadata questions and facilitate contact or a discussion. Yeah, before
well,
we
you're
have
mentioning studies. You are mentioning studies, Daniel. I think it's important to invite everybody, every PI, every programmer, whenever they find from now on problems, for instance, in the ETL, if they find any mistakes or anything they would like to invite the data access partner to modify, that please they ask the DAP to modify them in the catalog and not in the Word documents anymore. Yeah. Because that, of course, creates a cycle of improvement. Similarly, it's important that names of tables, name of variables, name of data banks are consistently the same across all the catalog and across all the instances within the origin variables. So that's something that could also enter into the quality checks, because this way we are more and more aware of I mean, we have a better consistency in documentation. And I see Vera made a comment. She agrees with Carlos that we should make data custodians aware of the catalog. Well, we are currently in the process of revising the catalog with all the data access partners of VAC4EU. So they are currently aware. And
yes, and the next step I really think is to make aware PIs and end users of it, that we can facilitate this collaboration and steer clear from the ETL documentation documents.
No, well, that's a great document to start with, but once you have, you know, completed your first draft, then you go, as Julia said, I mean, using the catalog to develop the ETL is a bit not convenient. So you first develop it on your Word document, but then once it is up, then from that moment on, you stay on the catalog. Yes.
Yeah. Good.
And we are always here to help as a data catalog task force. So whenever if DAPs want to use the pencil, please feel free. If you want to use spreadsheets, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will bridge with Molgenis and help you make a more, I mean, substantial modification to your information in the catalog.
Good. If there are no comments, anything, I wish you a very nice weekend, and thank you so much for coming here, listening and presenting. Very nice. Good.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
Thank you
guys.
so much, Brenda.
Bye-bye.